If you want to play the Halosar Trap, you will have to start the game with d4. Black will mostly play d5, and here you can offer a free pawn to black by playing e4. If black captures your pawn, then you can attack black's pawn by playing knight to c3. Black will most likely defend this pawn with knight to f6. And here we have reached the setup of Blackmar Diemer Gambit in chess, and now you can offer another free pawn to black by playing f3. Since black's e pawn is awkwardly placed here and he has double pawns on the e file, he would think, let me just get rid of this pawn over here. So in 90% cases, he is likely to capture this f pawn over here. So if black plays e into f3, you have two options. Either you can capture this black pawn with your queen or with your knight. Capturing with the knight looks more logical move here because you will be developing a minor piece which will control the center squares. But since you want to play the Halosar Gambit, you will not capture with the knight but rather with your queen. So you will play queen into f3, offering another free pawn to black which is sitting on the d4 square. Now why did we capture this pawn with our queen? Well, the idea is we want to clear this entire d file to launch an attack on the black's king. So that is why we moved our queen from the d file, and now we are luring black to capture this free pawn over here and leave us with an entire open d file. Now if black doesn't understand this kind of an idea, there are high chances that he's gonna capture your free pawn on the d4 square. And now you can see the entire d file is open. So what we are going to do is get our rook active on this d file so that it can help us in attacking the black king. So what should we play here? We should play bishop e3, attacking this queen over here and also preparing for this rook to take over this d file. Now here, if black queen goes back somewhere on the d file, then obviously she will get attacked by a rook, and black is aware of this plan. So that is why in most of the cases, what black will try to do is get his queen on the b4 square. The idea is that he is now attacking this vulnerable b2 pawn over here. White cannot move the pawn further because then black queen will capture this free knight over here with a fork on the king and the rook. That is why white now decides to castle queenside in the game. Castling queensides helps protect this pawn over here, and also white's rook is now beautifully activated on this open d file. Now after seeing this queenside castling move in the game, black is going to go on cloud 9. You know why? Because he's seeing that both this rook and this queen are lined up on the same diagonal. So he has an opportunity to skew our pieces with the move bishop g4. So did white do a mistake? Well, no. That's the whole idea of this Halosar Trap, also known as the Ryder Gambit. So what should white play here now? Well, since you are laying out a trap for black, you are going to play a very shocking move, and that is knight b5. And here we have reached an important situation in the game where there are 4 ways that black can respond to this situation. Let's look at all of them one by one. The first scenario is, here in this situation, black might get very greedy and without doing any calculation, he might just capture your queen over here. So if black plays bishop into f3, then you can immediately checkmate the game with knight into c7. Notice how this rook is controlling this d file, so the king cannot come on these squares. Also, this knight cannot be captured. So knight into c7 is a beautiful checkmate. Let's go back a few moves. So obviously you know that capturing this queen with the bishop would be a horrible mistake. So there is another way that black can respond to in this situation. Since black is aware that you're going to checkmate the game over here, so he might just decide to capture this knight over here with his queen. So then what should you play? Well, you should capture the queen back with your bishop with a check. Black will block this check with c6. Notice how black pieces are attacking 2 of white's pieces. White will obviously save his queen. He'll get his queen to g3. If black captures the bishop, then you can simply develop your knight over here and prepare to get your other rook into the action to launch a devastating attack against the black king. Also, white is up in pawn and has tremendous winning advantage in this scenario because all of black's pieces are still sleeping inside their home. Let's go back a few moves. So after queen g3, if black decides to capture our rook, Then white can play queen c7, threatening to checkmate on c8 square. Black has to defend, so he will play knight b to d7, controlling this square over here with his rook. Now queen can capture this free pawn on b7, attacking this rook over here. So therefore black cannot capture this bishop over here, otherwise he is losing a rook. So black plays rook to d8, the only safe square for the rook. You must be thinking, why did black play rook to d8 and not to b8? Well, if black gets his rook on the b8 square, then queen can capture this pawn over here. So black is just losing material. That is why black plays rook to d8. And now white can take this c6 pawn over here, creating a double pressure on this pinned knight over here. Also, white is attacking this undefended weak pawn over here with two of his pieces. Also, black's bishop is under attack by white's king. Black's other pieces are kind of still trapped inside, not able to help black in any defensive job. And white is a very good prospect in the game with knight to f3, rook coming over on this d file and adding more pressure here. Also, white is up in material. So this situation for white is a completely winning situation, and white can easily come off with flying colors in this scenario. Now let's go back a few moves and look at a third scenario. So as you saw, black sacrificing his queen to save the game is definitely not working in his favor. So black here might try another option, and that is freeing up some space for his king. So he might play e5. So e5 now gives an extra square to the king where it can go in case of this knight check. So what should white play now? White should take the c7 pawn, forking black's pieces. King will come on e7, losing his castling right in the game. Notice how all of these squares are controlled by white's pieces in the game. So all white need to take control of is the existing square on which the king is standing. So taking note of this situation, white can here now make a very beautiful sacrifice by playing queen into b7. If black doesn't calculate and just blindly takes this queen, then bishop c5 will checkmate the game immediately. So let's go back a few moves and look at a fourth scenario. So here in this situation, black might also decide to protect this c7 pawn with his knight. So he might play knight to a6. So what can white play now? So white can here now play queen b7, forking both the pieces over here. If black plays rook b8, attacking the queen, then white can sacrifice his queen by playing queen into b8, because if knight takes back the queen, then knight into c7 would be a checkmate again. So let's go back. So rook b8 is not working for black. So black here might play rook c8, protecting this pawn over here. And now what can white play? White can capture this free knight over here while maintaining an eye on this rook. So if black captures our rook on d1, then queen into c8 will lead to a checkmate. Let's go back to this situation. So here in this situation, when black pieces are enforced by white's queen, he might decide to capture this d1 rook over here. So what can white play? White can now capture the rook on a8 with a check. King moves to d7, and now since white's knight is under attack by this queen, and now you can eat up this a7 pawn over here, and in this situation white has a tremendous winning advantage because white is already attacking this knight over here, he's attacking this bishop over here, white's pieces are ready to jump and attack on black's king. This rook can come on this d file, and look its black pieces. These two are sleeping inside their home. Black's king is wide open in the center of the board, and black is gonna have a very tough time saving his game from white. Let's go back a few moves. Now here black can play a very interesting move, queen to e4, forking your queen and this bishop over here. Now what should you do as white? Should you exchange pieces over here? Well, when you have sacrificed material in the game and when you have launched a devastating attack against your opponent, you should refrain from exchanging pieces, because if you do, then that will just diffuse your attack and your opponent will get time to bring out all his pieces and stabilize in the game. So what should white play here? So white should just simply capture this free knight over here. If in this case queen captures this bishop with a check, then the king can move to b1, and now since you are threatening this fork attack over here, so black will try to defend this c7 pawn with queen to c5. Now you can play queen to b7, attacking this rook. If black captures your rook, putting a double pressure on this pawn and threatening to checkmate your game, Then first you can capture this free rook with a check. King comes to d7, and notice how black king has lost his right to castle, and now you can simply defend your own situation by playing knight to c3. Let's go back a few moves. So if here, instead of capturing on the d1, if black plays rook to c8, then you can capture this a7 pawn. Bishop will capture this rook, putting double pressure over here, but that move is a blunder because white can now immediately checkmate the game with queen into c8. Let's go back. So capturing on d1 would be a blunder. So here black can create his own checkmate threat on the c2 square by playing bishop f5, maintaining the protection of his rook as well as creating double pressure over here. So what should white play? White can now play bishop b5 check, activating one more piece into the attack, and now black king cannot come on these squares because it's controlled by our rook, so he has to block the check. And here if he makes a mistake of blocking the check with either his bishop or his knight, let's say he plays bishop d7, then that would be a blunder because queen into c8 will end the game. Do like this video and subscribe to my channel for learning more such traps. And now it's time for the question of the day. So here it is black's turn to move, and my question is, should black capture this free queen over here? Let me know your answers in the comments box, and I'll see you in the next video. Also, do not forget to check the membership program of this channel. Keep learning and keep practicing.